Hi guys, welcome back, and hello if you are new. I hope all is well with you. Apologies for not kind of getting this up a little bit sooner, but as you guys know, things are still going on. Anyway, following the very emotional goodbye that was Final Transmission to Caleb Schofield, an integral member of Cave In, the band have returned with an album that is pretty much out of this world, and it's the first record to be recorded without Caleb. Now having Nate Newton on bass guitar duties, who is also in Converge, he's now become a fully fledged member of the band. So without further ado, join me as I look into the world of Cave In's Heavy Pendulum. Cave In are a band that have been going for a while. They were kind of nurtured by both the metalcore and the hardcore scene in and around Massachusetts, that kind of area. They lost their longtime bassist Caleb Schofield, and the outpouring of love was absolutely huge. 2019's Final Transmission was the last record that had Caleb on it, and now the band enter a new reality, so to speak. There's really something for everyone on Heavy Pendulum. It's almost like a compendium of everything that Cave In have done from the very first beginning right up to Final Transmission. Now, I can't confess having the biggest knowledge to Cave In, but the way that I kind of approach this record is that I kind of split it into three different categories. So the first is that the record is incredibly heavy, surprisingly more heavy than I kind of anticipated, especially following the quite peaceful sounding Final Transmission. New Reality makes sure that there's a kind of monstrous groove and they're really kind of locked in and kicks the record off really nicely, but then that energy is kept topped up, I personally thought. But I personally thought that energy is kind of kept up throughout the album on Careless Offering, which has a nice, sort of energetic drum beat. Not to mention that Amaranthine and Waiting for Love are two tracks that particularly, I think, keep that riff quota going. There's a lot of energy, a lot of, you can just feel that Cave In were a bit on fire right in this record. The pain, the fight, the death, the lie, and the love. However, if you're craving kind of something more progressive, then Heavy Pendulum, the title track, will definitely see you through. But personally, I think there are songs like Blinded by a Blaze, which is kind of like a 7-minute long song that not only is progressive because it's obviously a bit longer, but also it's more in the songwriting, the choice of riffs, melodies, things like that. And it's just the band kind of pushing the boat out even further. And the beginning of the track also reminds me of that kind of atmosphere that we heard on Final Transmission, and it ends with this really kind of psychedelic, tripped out wah guitar solo. And then you've got Bloodspiller, Searchers of Hell, which are again kind of this psychedelic, kind of otherworldly feeling, which I really, really liked. If you might not have understood the circumstances behind Final Transmission, then it might have appeared quite soft. But the thing is with Heavy Pendulum is that there are tracks that kind of have that sense of sadness, of melancholy, but are very much kind of in its own element. And Wavering Angel, I think, which is about an 11-minute final track, is definitely a highlight of the album, and Reckoning as well. Two really great songs that have that sense of kind of introspection and, melancholy, but bring something a bit more with it. It's a 14-track album, so it's quite a lengthy listen. I think it clocks in at about 71 minutes. So it's quite an undertaking, but I have to say, whenever I put it on, I do kind of find myself sort of floating off, to kind of coin a phrase. And I really kind of like that. I love escapism in albums, and I think, You know, Cave In have always been quite good at that from what I've heard. And the great thing about Cave In is the accessibility of Stephen Brodsky's vocals. You know, you might have a really heavy riff, but it's always counterbalanced by his kind of, I guess, almost crooning vocals, if that makes sense. I also want to mention that it sounds punchy. It sounds great. You know, when those riffs kick in, they sound like the good old 2x4 to the face, courtesy of Kurt Ballou. Kurt Ballou did an excellent job of keeping that sense of power, but also expanding the horizons of what the sound could be and where it could go, you know, just in terms of levels, really. When previously you might have been forgiven for thinking that this was the end of the band, Heavy Pendulum showcases that, if anything, the band are burning brighter than ever before, and this is more than a fitting torch to carry on Caleb Schofield's fantastic legacy. Either way, let me know what you think of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and also now that it's out, let me know what you think of the record too. And other than that, I will see you very, very soon for another album review. Be kind, be thoughtful. You never know what anyone's going through at any one time, and you know, I'm just sending love, light, and positivity out to all of you guys. I will see you very, very soon for another album review.